Splish splash, I was taking a bath with a whole bunch of crocodiles. Now listen, we went on this crazy jungle safari on one of my recent exotic trips and just thought we'd share some of it with you because it was pretty wild. Kid you not, years ago, I was making this gift for my wife and I needed to find the top 100 memories of all time. And 91 of the 100 ended up being when we were traveling. And ever since that moment when we realized that, we started making traveling a massive priority. And when traveling is fun, it's exciting, and frankly, it's the moment when we're really living in a way we never have before. Which is why I love traveling around the world to find some of the wildest adventures like this water safari. Wanted to know what like 100-year-old people have really seen in their entire lifetime. So I'm out here in Costa Rica right now and had a chance to hear a very fascinating story. It's real estate related. I hope that's okay. You know, it's kind of one of the things that I do. We decided to go on this jungle safari down the river. We're in these 2 rafts with a bunch of my friends, my wife and I, and as we're going down, we're seeing some really cool stuff. I mean, first of all, the jungle here, the rainforest is so thick that when it mists, it's like breathing in carbonated water. It's just these thick vapors, and we were seeing some really cool things along the way. We were seeing snakes up in the trees and sloths and, you know, all sorts of really, really cool things. But what we did along the way is we stopped off of the side of the embankment and we got out of our boat. We climbed these really rickety steps along this kind of bayou trailway. And the path, I swear, like every 4th board I stepped on, I was wondering, am I gonna fall through this? So super, super old school. And we walked to this tiny little house just on the side of the jungle. And I hear one of the most fascinating stories about real estate. And it's the story of an old man and his family that had occupied the property for the last 100 years. And in the last 100 years, this house has seen a lot of change and transformation, even for Costa Rica and the state of itself as a country. And what's interesting is that for the first 60 years, they actually didn't own the property, they just rented it. And after 60 years, they thought, you know what? This has been in our family for such a long time, we might as well own it. So they handshook on a deal with the landowner that they were going to buy it for 500 colones. Now this is like 40 years ago, but 500 colones today is $1 US. So I don't know if that was 40 years ago, but it couldn't have been much. And so he gave him 250 colones up front, like 50 cents, and then a year later ended up paying the other 50 cents to buy it off. And this is back even before they had electricity on the property. So now they own this property, they've been there for 40 years, and 2 years ago, even though the power company was not going to bring power to the home because it was so far out in the middle of nowhere, what they decided to do was the power company, for the man's 100th birthday, decided to give him power. So they brought power in, and then for the first 2 years, the guy didn't even use the power. I mean, just think how crazy that is. It took him really a year to get accustomed and used to the idea, and then the old man died. He passed it on to his family and whatnot, and we're sitting here and we're enjoying tea and crumpets in the jungle, if you will, like that. So they had some coffee and sweet drinks and sweetbreads and homemade cheeses, and just learning about this whole story, it was just really magical. Something kind of funny though was we're sitting there and our group, we don't drink alcohol, and they had offered us some alcohol and we turned it down, and you know, instead it was some of the other drinks that they had. But then the guy comes out again and he says, hey, we've got some moonshine. Contrabanda. This stuff's illegal, but we trust you, so if you don't tell anyone, we'll give you some. I'm like, dude, how clear can we be on the scene? Alcohol, we don't drink alcohol. It was just kind of a funny deal. I think that it was actually like a sell you moonshine on the side kind of thing that they were hoping to maybe do. That didn't go down, but we had a really, really fun time, and it was pretty exciting. Man, can you imagine? Do you ever wish you could like hop into a time machine and go back and buy real estate when it was crazy cheap? I mean, the first house I bought was built for $5,000. That's a house that I bought, I don't know, it was probably 50 years later. I ended up paying $110,000 for that house. It's so crazy, like what happens with money and how it changes with time. And but anyway, we enjoyed the rest of our trip. We saw crocodiles on the side, very different than the crocodiles I've seen in Africa that are way less skittish and way more human hungry. You seriously have, like, they talk about the locals being in the same river with the crocodiles. The crocodiles are sunbathing on one side of the river and the humans are playing, you know, on the other side. It's just super crazy to contemplate. But anyway, that was our jungle safari and what it was like sitting and meeting these really amazing locals off of the side of the river.
Come join me on more of my wild adventures around the world, share some of the things that I'm witnessing, seeing, and learning about life. All you got to do is subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll make sure to notify you on any of our upcoming adventures. And hey, by the way, if you want to get some of the latest and greatest cutting-edge tools on how to experience breakthrough to the max, check out my website. I've got all sorts of things that I've created and designed, from apps and books and workbooks and programs, live events that are designed to help you break through every limiting belief in your life.